أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين. What is it with people and their quest to find out something that is strange or unique, when what is best for them is what is readily available? When someone wants something really exotic, people that eat watermelons in winter or mangoes in winter, when the best fruit for them is the citrus or the apples or what's present in the seasonal fruits and from the land. Supposed to eat from the land because of what it requires. Likewise, when it comes to religion, people want to go into some outlandish idea. Whenever I watch any nature video and then I look at the comments for it, that people start talking about things evolved and this, and they don't just take the most basic and common sense answer that it was created and brought into existence. Instead, they want to delve into something to make them part of some esoteric society where they understand something special, or we have a hidden special knowledge. Don't go around seeking strange knowledge. Otherwise, you'll be of those that get lost in the wilderness of not only misinformation but also disinformation. See, seeking God is not some mystery. There's no mystery in it whatsoever. It's what's natural. It's what comes naturally to you. It's the only thing that gives you substance in life. And to understand Him in the way He ought to be understood is what gives you this happiness, this inner peace. And Arabi, I always say Arabi. The difference to when I say Arabi and Arabi. Arab does not mean someone from the Middle East per se. This is the race of Arab. Arab is a believer. The actual word Arab is someone that is a believer. It's special meaning. In a general sense, it's someone from the Arabian region. So Arabi is generally related to someone that's a Bedouin. And if you call an Arab an Arabi, it's like you're telling them you're a simpleton, a dweller. But the word Arabi is someone that moves with the seasons, not someone that's stable in any way. So this person came up to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wa and then he says to him, "Alimni min gharaib al-ilm." That basically he wants to know of the strangeness of knowledge. When we say strangeness, he wants to know the finer points of knowledge. He wants to, like I said, when people seek, they want to seek some special knowledge so they can be unique to others. It's like, for example, I'll sit there and go, the difference between the stitches on a Duke cricket ball and a Kookaburra cricket ball. Most people don't even know what a cricket ball is to begin with. Some people, so when I'm trying to give some understanding to something that is fine, when I say of the finer points, is something where I'm talking to someone that understands cricket fully for me to start talking about this. But if I'm talking to an average person who doesn't understand cricket at all, we tell them there's a batsman and there's a bowler and they're fielders. That's how you start off with. So this person's a better one that's moving around and he wants to know the finer points of the religion. And that's how people are. They want to know sometimes you want to give them a basic lesson. You sit down and you want to teach them how to do wudu. They say, you're teaching us how to do wudu. We know how to do wudu. Teach us something more intricate. We want something deep where we need to understand so we can feel elevated. And that's pointless because you're going to learn something that you don't even know the basics for. So this man asked for this type of knowledge. So the Messenger of God sallallahu alayhi wa alihi says, "ما صنعت في رأس العلم حتى تسأل عن غرائبه." He says, what do you know about the top of the knowledge and the basics of the knowledge? He says to ask about its peculiarities. So if you do not know the most basic, the most shallowest part of the knowledge, why are you going into the depths? You need to understand, firstly, I need to learn how to swim before I jump in the deep end. I need to learn how to stand before I can run. So he's asking him, what do you know about the basics? So the man says, okay, what are the basic points of religion? What is the top of religion? What is the most basic part of it? So the man concedes there because he doesn't know. He's asking about the depths already, but he doesn't know the basic part. So there he says, all right, what are the basic points? And this is where our lesson begins. He says, the messenger of God, he says, ma'rifatullah haqqa ma'rifatih. To reckon the recognition of Allah as he should be recognized. This is the most basic part of religion. Why do you think we always talk about Tawhid? The whole problem is Tawhid. And understand what I'm saying. The problem with Tawhid is not the problem about you holding up your finger and cutting someone's head off, or holding a flag and screaming out slogans about God being one. No, this isn't Tawhid. Tawheed is about knowing God the way He wants to be known. The way God wants, not the way I want. Because if it's the way I want, the best muwahhid that was ever on the earth was Iblis. The shaitan. Satan is the best muwahhid in this case. Why? Because when God said to shaitan, Isjud li Adam, He said to all the angels, do sujood to Adam. Iblis said, no, I won't. I won't do sujood. Why? Because he's a muwahhid. He said, I will only prostrate to you. So what did God say? Did God say, congratulations, you are the best muwahhid, you passed the test? What did He say? God says in the Quran, إِلَّا إِبْلِيسَ أَبَى وَاسْتَكْبَرَ. He refused. Why? He was proud. وَكَانَ مِنَ الْكَافِرِينَ. Allah doesn't say وَكَانَ مِنَ الْمُوَحِّدِينَ. He says وَكَانَ مِنَ الْكَافِرِينَ. Iblis was a rejecter. Why? He rejected the authority of Adam. God told him to prostrate to Adam. Could you imagine you said this now to one of these extremist groups that have this made up Tawhid ideology that you have to go prostrate? Imagine Imam Mehdi comes and he says that you have to prostrate to me. Let's say, for example, they say this is shirk. What happened to the prostration to Adam? Let's say that this is what is being said. Tawheed is understanding God the way He wants to be understood. معرفة الله حق معرفته. فقال الأعرابي ما معرفة الله حق معرفته. What is this? Ma'rifah, the only way to really understand God. What is it? So the Arabi now wants to know these basic points. He says, أن تعرفه بلا مثل. And he says to know, number one, that He is unique. This is, remember, we're reiterating what we mentioned before because this is very important in another way. To recognize Him with no like, that God is unique. That's the first way to know Him. Number two, he says, Wala shib. So he said He's unique, He has no like. Wala shib, He has no resemblance. And then he says, Wala ned. What does ned mean? He has no equal. When we talk about aned and dada, the people that take an aned with Allah, that take equals with Allah. يُحِبُّونَهُمْ كَحُبِّ اللَّهِ. Anyone that loves anyone like they love God, to have that position and that equality with God, to elevate them to that status that they are like God, this is what we are talking about. This is the shirk that's mentioned. وَأَنَّهُ, he says, the ma'rifah is like this, that is unique. وَأَنَّهُ وَاحِدٌ أَحَدٌ ظاهر باطن أول آخر عفوا. That He is the one, the only, the outer, the inner, the first and the last. What does that mean? That Allah is the first. الأول بلا أول كان قبله. The first, what that means. And the last. So no one's before God. No one's after God. Allah is what is known. He's the outer. He's the inner. He's what is hidden. And He's Wahid Ahad. He's one. And He is the only one. No other. وَلَا قُفُ وَلَهُ وَلَا نَذِيرٌ. That Allah has no equivalent and no match. And then He says, فَذَلِكَ حَقُّ مَعْرَفَتِهِ. That is the right way to know Him. That He is unique. There's no like to Him. There's no resemblance to Him. There's no equal. That He's the one and only. He's what is known and what is hidden. He's the first. He's the last. He has no equivalent, no match. And this is the only way to know Him. In this manner. Sums it up in one word. He's unique. It's what He wants you to know. Many people distort this understanding of God. They try and give some kind of description, although there is no imagination, as we mentioned last lesson, that can in the slightest capture the essence of God. Others try to limit the capacity of God. How? They imagine and describe, and this limits God to a specific form. Thereby they constrain Him to that form. They believe Him there. This can lead to a deviated understanding of His attributes and also His capabilities. Others have some form of misdirected worship. They will bring any thought that is foreign to God. It will divert. If I bring like when I said misdirected worship, if I bring anything that is foreign to God in any way, it will divert my focus on the true path of devotion. It will divert it. I won't be worshipping God as I should. I'll be worshipping God in my own way. I will have different methods when it comes to worship God, which brings us to the next point, which is superstition and ritualism. And when I have these concocted theories that people conjure up, what they do is they encourage superstitious and ritualistic practices and just make people into habitual people of doing actions rather than have genuine submission. So it's a bit like when you see someone enter a practice they have no knowledge of. Even someone that gets up to pray, not understanding what prayer is. You know, when someone tells you, oh, you should pray because, it's good for you to pray. It's not going to take much of your time. We say that to people, maybe to bring them towards God. But if they do not understand what prayer is and the value of prayers and what its position is, they don't have that genuine submission. That I'm not saying when I don't commit a sin, rather than say, oh Allah, I'm doing this for you. No, I'm doing it for me. God has made the laws for me, so I can understand my situation with God. This is what we mean when we say a genuine submission. So I need to beware of trying to understand God other than the way He wants me to understand Him. Because then everything I will do, because if I start off with a deviated beginning, all I'm going to do is keep veering away from the path. And I veer until I'm absolutely deviated and worshipping something else altogether, unlike the actual path I'm supposed to be upon. We ask Allah to keep us upon the righteous path, the path of Muhammad wa al Muhammad, salawatullahi wa salamu alayhim ajma'een, walhamdulillahi rabbil alameen.
Allahu ahad, Allahu samad, lam yalid wa lam yulad, wa lam yakun lahu kufuwan ahad.